The Universal Kit will eliminate the need to measure your spindle. Airtight's Universal Kit comes with 3 different inner dimension size shims. One or none of the shims may be used in putting on the stainless steel bushing. Note, the Universal Kit for the 5-lug 3,500 pound has 3 shims. The Universal Kit for the 6-lug 5,200 and the 8-lug 7,000 pound has 1 shim. One of 2 things will happen. Number 1, airtight stainless steel bushing will fit your spindle snug without the use of a shim. Number 2, one of the 3 shims will fit your spindle snug so airtight stainless steel bushing can bond directly on top of the shim. Follow these steps for putting on the bushing. Step 1. If there's a stainless steel sleeve on your axle, you must remove it. Removal can be accomplished by carefully splitting the bushing in half using a hammer and a thin tip screwdriver. Exception: if your axle is made by UFP, Unique Functional Products, the bushing does not have to be removed due to the fact that their bushing is sealed to the spindle. If you are not sure which axle manufacturer you have, go to our website, which lists over 70 trailer manufacturers and the axles they use, or match it up to this spindle. Note, the O-ring under the stainless steel sleeve. You would then install the appropriate shim prior to installing airtight stainless steel bushing. Step 2. If the spindle is a drilled spindle, draw a straight line through the grease hole to the back of the spindle with a permanent marker. This will mark the location of the grease hole. Match one of the shims to your spindle. The shim that fits the closest is the shim you will bond to the spindle. Note, if airtight stainless steel bushing fits on the spindle the closest, the shims are not needed. Step 3. Clean any corrosion on the axle with emery cloth and wipe clean with a degreaser. Clean the inner dimensions of the shim with a degreaser. Step 4. Shake up the bonding agent by removing the cap. Cut the tip with a razor knife and screw the cap back on. Squeeze the container a few times back and forth. This will mix the bonding agent so that it is thick and consistent and easy to apply. Put the bonding agent 360 degrees on the axle where the shim will go and 360 degrees on the inner dimensions of the shim. Step 5. Put the shim on the spindle. Even if the shim goes on by hand, use an old inner bearing and a short pipe or punch and tap on the bearing until the bearing bottoms out. Remove the bearing. This will form the shim to the contour of the spindle and put the shim back against the shoulder. If the shim is a press fit and does not turn on the spindle, then proceed. If the shim can turn, wait 20 minutes until the bonding agent sets and then proceed. The shim will block the grease hole on the spindle. Use an awl or a nail to pierce through the shim where you marked the hole, leaving the grease hole open. Step 6. Bond airtight stainless steel bushing on the top of the shim the same way you put on the shim. If you had to press on the bushing with an old bearing, then once the bearing bottoms out, remove the bearing and use a brass or aluminum punch to place the bushing in against the shoulder. Tap on the taper of the bushing on both sides until the bushing is against the shoulder. If there is no shoulder, tap the bushing about 1/8 of an inch in from the inner bearing. Airtight stainless steel bushing should always be about 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch back from the inner bearing when placed properly. Step 7. Be sure to remove any debris in the grease hole. Removal of the debris can be done by greasing the Zerk fitting and letting the grease clean out the hole. Step 8. When the bushings are assembled, discard the remaining shims and continue with the main directions. The Universal Kit fits most axle manufacturer sizes. If your axle size is not covered by the Universal Kit, revert to Part 1, determining the correct kit. Contact Airtight to exchange the bushing for your particular size.